Hi everybody, I'm Latrina Patrick. Welcome to day 2 of our 90-day grant writing tutorial. You are basically going to learn how to write a grant and how to get one funded over the next 90 days. So you are having access to a 90-day grant workshop. So I'm excited about this. Now, yesterday I introduced you to what a grant is. We started with the very basics and also who's eligible. Among the eligible applicants are nonprofit organizations with or without a tax-exempt status. But if you have a tax-exempt status, that means you have been given that status by the IRS. So, and the most common type of designation is a 501c3. So today we're going to break down just what that designation actually means and the other types of designations there are that are common for other nonprofit organizations. As I mentioned in day 1, there are several types of applicants eligible to receive grant funds. Those include individuals, private nonprofits, local education authorities, which are also the school districts, both private and public schools, government agencies, which can be your city, your county, or your state, coalitions, and partnerships. Let's talk about the definition of a 501c. This is a designation from the IRS that provides 29 types of nonprofit organizations with an exemption from some federal income taxes. Out of the 29 organization types under the 501c designation, the most common is the 501c3. A 501c3 nonprofit is exempt from federal income tax if it has these purposes: charitable, religious, educational, scientific, literary, testing for public safety, fosters amateur sports competition, and prevents cruelty to children or animals. So here's a look at some of the other 501c designations. Under the 501c4, you find civic leagues, social welfare organizations, and local associations of employees. 501c5 would be your labor, agricultural, and horticultural organizations. And then 501c6 would be your business leagues, chambers of commerce, real estate boards, etc. There are a total of 29 of these different designations, so you really need to do your research to see which designation is appropriate for the type of organization you'd like to form. So remember, you can be a legitimate nonprofit organization without that designation. However, it will limit your funding options. Now, before you start to applying for a tax-exempt designation from the IRS, you really need to do your research and make sure that you are applying for the most appropriate designation. It costs money to apply for this designation from the IRS, and they are not giving refunds. So make sure that what you're doing is really the appropriate designation application, because nonprofits and people starting out just don't have that kind of money to waste and throw away for the wrong thing. So be very mindful of that. And also, applying for a tax-exempt designation is something that you can do on your own. With a lot of time and patience, it's not unheard of for individuals that have their own organizations to do their application themselves. But you have to know that this is a process. I mean, it can take anywhere upwards to from 9 months to a year. So you want to be mindful of that. There are people who pay a CPA or a lawyer to do that, and it's highly recommended if you can afford it, because it does expedite the process. There are some lawyers or CPAs who are so good at this that they can get this thing done in 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks. That's not the norm, and you really have to have all your ducks in a row to be able to get something expedited like that. But it is possible. But on average, with someone doing this who actually knows what they're doing, it takes about 6 to 9 months, okay? And just know that it's a lot of back and forth. So don't be discouraged if you try to apply for this designation and you get things back from the IRS numerous times. That's a part of the process. So don't be discouraged. You are capable of doing this. Another part that goes along with eligibility is when you want to make sure that you are fiscally capable. Funders are looking for that fiscal capacity and the human capacity when it comes to the amount of people working for your organization and things like that. But it's very important that you realize that when you have a nonprofit organization, the only difference between a nonprofit organization and a for-profit organization is what you do with your profits. So at the very basic level, nonprofit organizations have to take their profits, the revenue that they've earned, that is considered profits, and put that back into services of the organization. A for-profit organization can take that revenue or the profits they've earned and give it to their stockholders or board of directors, however they want to do that. So that's the main difference. And I also want to say that, starting a nonprofit organization is a very admirable thing to do, but you have to know that it's still a business. And so if you don't have that entrepreneurial spirit or the business acumen to run a business, it might not be the thing for you to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are other options. You can partner with somebody. But just know that it is a business. There are hundreds of thousands of nonprofits that are started every year in this country. And there are in the millions of how many nonprofits that actually exist. But the ones who go out of business very soon after, that number is a long and huge number as well, because people just don't understand that. It may be a nonprofit organization, but it's still a business. The business of business is business, and it doesn't change, okay? So just be mindful of that. So we've covered quite a bit today. We've talked about what it means to be a 501c3 organization. We've talked about the differences between a nonprofit organization and a for-profit organization. And we've also kind of outlined the different types of organizations that fall under the various 501c designations from the IRS. So that's quite a bit we've covered. Tomorrow we will cover what types of funders there are that's out there. I get a lot of questions from people who want to know, where can I find grant money? I have my nonprofit, I have my 501c3, where can I get money? Well, tomorrow we're going to talk about that. In the meantime, if you have any questions or comments about this specific episode, I really hope you'll leave your comments in the comment section for me and for others, because what you want to ask, someone else probably does too, and we could all benefit from knowing the questions and the responses. If you have something a little more specific that you want to ask me that's a little more personal, feel free to send me an email to lpatrick, I have so many emails, lpatrick@greatervisionconsulting.com. All right, and I'll be glad to get those questions answered for you. But I look forward to having you back here tomorrow. I hope you'll join us as we talk about the types of funders that are out there. See you tomorrow.